Welcome to the Nevis Newscast for Wednesday, December 4th, 2019. I am Fredicia Liebert. The Ministry of Tourism hosted a school children's National Imagery Art activity today, Wednesday, December 4th, at the occasions. More than 100 students from schools across the Federation were invited to do drawings of iconic symbols of the Republic of China, Taiwan, to be featured at the soon-to-be-constructed St. Kitts and Nevis Penny's Beach Park. Permanent Secretary in the Ministry of Tourism, John Hanley, gave the overview.
We are delighted to have enlisted the support of one of the most talented and versatile professional artists in the Federation. Such is the quality of the work of Mr. Vaughan Anslin that his services have been requested in many countries around the Caribbean and many international forums. He has agreed to assist our children with their artwork today, and we are sure that they will be truly inspired to give up their best. I once again wish to welcome all to this National Imagery Art exercise under the theme, Imagine the Beautiful Islands in the Distance. Children, do your very best, and one day, 20 years or 30 years from now, you'll be able to bring your own children to the park to see the work that you did so many years ago.
His Excellency Tom Lee, Ambassador of the Republic of China, Taiwan to St. Kitts and Nevis, along with delegation from the Taiwan ICDF, visited the island for the event. Taiwan has provided $3 million in funding for the project.
I believe pretty soon you will see the real construction works going. And all the students here, today you are going to draw the iconic symbols of Taiwan. And pretty soon our students in Taiwan, they will do the same thing, but they will draw about St. Kitts and Nevis. And all your paintings will be put on the walls of the visitors center in the future. So I would like to encourage you to use your genuine feelings to draw, because whatever you're going to draw is going to be there forever. And our friendship is very genuine, and also when you use your heart to draw, and people will appreciate a lot.
St. Kitts and Nevis's Minister of Foreign Affairs, the Honorable Mark Brantley, is also the Premier and Minister of Tourism in the Nevis Island Administration.
All of you are going to be famous. Why? Because your artwork, together with that of your counterparts in Taiwan, will form a collage that will be at our visitor center at this park at Penny's. And so each of you, I am hopeful that in the next several years, will be able to go and point and say, this was my piece of art. This was what I did. This was my contribution, not only to the relationship between our two countries, but my contribution to a fantastic project, described, as you've heard it by the Permanent Secretary, in the Ministry of Tourism as one of the most important projects to have occurred on the island of Nevis.
Remarks were also made by Principal Education Officer Zanella Claxton, who endorsed the exercise. The activity was the brainchild of Vincent Lai, St. Kitts and Nevis Penny's Beach Park Project Coordinator, who launched the event with an educational presentation. This was followed by an art illustration by the facilitator, local professional artist Vaughan Anslin, and art in motion by the students who were assisted in drawing iconic symbols of the Republic of China, Taiwan. Today, His Excellency Tom Lee, Ambassador of the Republic of China, Taiwan to St. Kitts and Nevis, paid a courtesy call to the NIA's Small Enterprise Development Unit, SIDU. His visit came on the heels of an announcement by Premier and Minister of Finance, the Honorable Mark Brantley, that the NIA has received approval for the first tranche of funding in the amount of $2.5 million, which will soon be available for on-lending to potential small business persons. The amount is one half of the $5 million that will be provided by the government of the Republic of China, Taiwan.
We visited the office to check up on the loan agreement, which is going to be made between the Nevis Island Administration and the Taiwan ICDF. This is the loan agreement that is much talked about by the Premier, encouraging women and male 35 and under to come and start businesses and be entrepreneurs.
Ambassador Lee, accompanied by First Secretary of the Embassy of the Republic of China, Taiwan, met with Permanent Secretary in the Ministry of Finance, Colin Dorr, and the staff of SIDU. Premier and Minister of Finance, the Honorable Mark Brantley, says his government will continue to manage and allocate the island's resources in an effectual and transparent manner. He gave that assurance on Tuesday, December 3rd, when he delivered the NIA's 2020 budget address themed Building Resilience, Improving Infrastructure for Long-Term Development, a Harmonized Approach to Economic Growth.
The Office of Premier is allocated funding in the amount of $8.2 million, representing 3.42% of the total budget. Included in this amount are funds allocated to support the security services in our fight against criminal activities. The Ministry of Finance is allocated funding in the amount of $79.5 million, representing 33.2% of the total budget. Included in this amount of funds allocated to meet our debt servicing obligations. The Ministry of Communications and Works is allocated funding in the amount of $40.1 million, representing a 16.73% of the total budget. Included in this amount are funds allocated for our infrastructure development program, namely the upgrading of our road network, maintaining of government buildings and other structures, along with provisions for upgrading our water services. The Ministry of Agriculture is allocated funding in the amount of $11.4 million, representing 4.8% of the total budget. Included in this amount are funds allocated for our food sustainability and security, along with our reforestation program for the planting of at least 10,000 trees in our support for the environment.
He also cited major allocations for the Ministries of Health and Gender Affairs, Education, Library Services and Information Technology, and Social Development, Culture, Youth and Sports.
The Ministry of Health and Gender Affairs is allocated funding in the amount of $37.3 million, representing 15.6% of the total budget. Included in this amount are funds allocated for providing improvements in the quality and delivery of health care, an increase in the remuneration for our nurses, along with the completion of construction work under the Alexandria Hospital expansion program. The Ministry of Education, Library Services and Information Technology is allocated funding in the amount of $33.1 million, representing 13.8% of the total budget. Included in this amount are funds allocated for the delivery of quality education to our people, executing work under the CDB TVET enhancement program, and the development of our information and communication technology needs. The Ministry of Social Development, Culture, Youth and Sports is allocated funding in the amount of $16.5 million, representing 6.9% of the total budget. Included in this amount are funds allocated for the delivery of our social protection agenda and improvements to our sporting facilities.
The resources projected to fund the NIA's 2020 expenditure program include $139.5 million in current revenue, $30 million in minimum revenues from CBI passport processing fees, $22.9 million from a Social Security loan and other concessionary loans, and $8.9 million in funding from the Government of the Republic of China, Taiwan, and other grant funding. Still to come.
And on behalf of the entire Ministry of Education, I want to commend these individuals for a job well done.
The details right after this break. Welcome back. Terrace Dorr, Renee Anthony, and Julie Pemberton each received certificates in leadership from the Organization of Eastern Caribbean States, OECS, United States Agency for International Development, USAID, Early Learners Program. Principal Education Officer Zanella Claxton spoke briefly on the course and commended the awardees.
Last week, 39 new literacy leaders were recognized throughout the OECS. These individuals have been working over the past 2 to 3 years on the Early Learners Program, which is sponsored by the OECS and USAID. These individuals have gone through a rigorous cycle of various trainings and activities and opportunities. They have had workshops, they have had to present information and data, they've had to do assessments, they've had to train and to be trained. We are indeed proud this afternoon, and on behalf of the entire Ministry of Education, I want to commend these individuals for a job well done.
Permanent Secretary in the Ministry of Education, Kevin Barrett, in presenting the awards, gave words of encouragement and congratulations to the awardees.
It is really a great pleasure for me to be here this afternoon, and on behalf of the Ministry of Education, let me commend the 3 awardees for this afternoon. And I don't want you to take your certification lightly, because in you now we have the resources that I think would propel our Early Learners Program forward. And I wish you all the best. I want you to really think of all the training that you have had and how best you are going to use that training for the advancement of our Early Learners Program. And as a resource and support team of what we already have in place, with the schools having their own program in place, I'm sure that you are now ready and waiting to help out. So I would like to once again commend you for your certification, and going forward, we want to hear good things in our Early Learners Program.
The Early Learners Program was established in March 2015. Its aim is to improve the reading skills of children in the early primary grades, with the goal of providing a foundation for improved learning outcomes and enhanced opportunities for students in the 6 independent member states of the OECS, namely St. Kitts and Nevis, Antigua and Barbuda, the Commonwealth of Dominica, Grenada, St. Lucia, and St. Vincent and the Grenadines. The presentation took place at the Nevis Disaster Management Department's Emergency Operations Center at Long Point, where a number of supervisors and principals of the various schools were present. Meanwhile,
here I want to thank all of the principals, all the supervisors who are here this afternoon, on behalf of the ministry for a very trying first term. We are almost at the end, and we have all endured. Some of us would have endured more than others, but endured nonetheless. And we are here. I am hoping that this season will bring you much happiness, that you'll get whatever you wanted Santa to bring you. And if it's not Santa, I hope that it's somebody else who would give you that gift that you always wanted. And so I wish you all the best for the season, and never ever forget the reason for the season, which is Christ. And so I bid you a good Christmas season on behalf of the Ministry of Education.
Permanent Secretary in the Ministry of Education, Kevin Barrett, speaking to a number of supervisors and principals of the various public and private schools on the island at a recently held awards presentation for the Early Learners Program. That's it for this edition of the Nevis Newscast. On behalf of all of us here at the Department of Information, I'm Felicia Library. Thank you for viewing.